गुणानेतान्
अतिथो भवति
अतितो भवति
प्रभो
प्रभु
किम् आचरः
किमाचरः
कथं
कथं
चैतांस् त्रीन् गुणान्
त्रीन् गुणान्
प्रतिवर्तते
अतिवर्तते.
So Arjuna is inquiring, continuing to inquire. He has already started inquiring. Oh my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior? How does he transcend the modes of nature? Sometimes we want to know, right? Who is considered a good doctor or who is considered a good lawyer? In the same way, Arjuna is asking, by what symptoms I can know that somebody who is transcendental to these three modes, right? What is his behavior? How does he transcend? So he's asking the what and the how.
The second chapter also he asked like about the devotee, the same like this, right, Prabhu? Like
correct. He's asked about devotees' qualities, but
qualities.
questions are very specific as to how do I understand and how does it transcend, right? So not only the qualities, but the techniques. He's asking about the techniques. Okay, Sarvana, can you read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sure, Prabhu. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, Arjuna's questions are very appropriate. He wants to know the symptoms of a person who has already transcended the material modes. He first inquires of the symptoms of such a transcendental person. How can one understand that he has already transcended the influence of the modes of material nature? The second question asks how he lives and what his activities are. Are they regulated or non-regulated? Then Arjuna inquires of the means by which he can attain the transcendental nature. That is very important. Unless one knows the direct means by which one can be situated always transcendentally, there is no possibility of showing the symptoms. So all these questions put by Arjuna are very important and the Lord answers them.
Yeah, so very good point. I also wanted to tell you that after a long time, for many, many years, I didn't upload, but I finally started uploading my classes on YouTube. So there is, if you just do a keyword search, Radhika Gopinath Das, you'll have these lectures. Although I must have taught at least 150, 200 classes, I was able to only find a few of them on my local hard drive. And then I started uploading them. I must have uploaded like 20 max, or maybe 30, it says, right? The rows per page 30. So just before the test, you should be able to go in there and kind of review the material, and then that way you can understand what's going on. Okay, makes sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we have Nataraj, new person has just joined. Welcome to the class, Nataraj. Can you hear us? I don't think he joined yet. It just shows his name, that's all. Karthik, is Nataraj your friend?
Not sure which Nataraj this is.
Okay. That's fine. We'll talk to him once he gets settled in. So he's asking a set of questions, which is good. Now let's see how Lord Krishna responds. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Prakasham cha pravrittam cha
Prakasham cha pravrittam cha
Moham eva cha pandavam
Moham eva cha pandavam
Na dveshti sampravartani
Nadveshti sampravrtani
Na nivritani kankshati
Nani vritani kamshati
Udasina vadasino
उदासीनवदासीनो
गुणर्यो न विचालयते
गुणैर्यो न विचाल्यते
गुणावर्तन्त इति एवम्
गुणावर्तन्त इति एवम्
यो अवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते
यो अवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते
समदुःखसुखः स्वस्थः
समदुःखसुखस्वस्थः
समलोष्टास्मकाञ्चनः
समलोष्टास्मकाञ्चन
तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरस्
तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरस्
तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः
तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः
मानापमानयोस्तुल्यस्
मानापमानयोस्तुल्यस्
तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः
तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः
सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी
सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी
गुणातीतः स उच्यते
गुणातीत च उच्यते
So looks like Nataraj is settled in. Hare Krishna Nataraj, can you introduce yourself to the group?
This is Nataraj. I just got this link through one of my friend.
Oh, okay.
So just want to see how it's going.
Yeah, sure. That's good that you are able to join. So towards the end of the class, you can give us feedback on what you like and what you didn't like, what you would like to change, things of that sort.
And like, do you mind just introducing yourself? I mean, don't have to take too much time. Just maybe like 10 or 20 seconds of your time. Just let me know, like, who you are. And...
Sure. My name is Radhika Gopinath Das. I have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 17 years now. I live in Seattle, and that's where I got introduced in the ISKCON Seattle. And I've been conducting these classes for many years now. Some of the students like Sudhakar have been coming for over 4 years, Sarvana Sudhakar. And some of them have joined fairly recently. So this is almost like a diamond shop, right? You will not see hundreds of people wishing to learn Bhagavad Gita. There'll always be just a few people, and the few people will show great interest in understanding what is expected of us. So right now we are in chapter 14, which is somewhat of an advanced chapter. And I'll be periodically going back and introducing the concepts from the other chapters as well. Like last time we went back to introduction to show the parampara and how the universal structure exists and things of that sort. So any specific questions for me?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I'll just try to, grasp as much as I can. So like, just go ahead. If I have any questions, I will, definitely I will ask.
Yeah, sure. That'll be good if you can, ask some appropriate questions without waiting till the end. You're free to ask those questions.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, in the terms of introduction, we belong to the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Lord Krishna in the Parampara Acharya, he is the original. He is eternal. He is the Supreme Lord. So there is no beginning for him. And then he gives this knowledge to Brahma, his Manasaputra. So Krishna doesn't need a wife to produce kids. Just by thinking, he produces Brahma. And Brahma comes on top of a lotus, which springs from his navel. So that's why he's called Manasaputra. And his son Narada takes this parampara forward. Brahma has other sons also, but other sons don't show much interest in leading a family life or anything. And so does Narada. He also doesn't have any interest in leading a family life. So he becomes a brahmachari. Then his disciple Vyasa is a family man like us. So Vyasadev, produces a lot of literature. And from there comes to Madhava Muni, Padmanabha. In this way, this chain, obviously, different times people live different lives. So sometimes people live very long, right? Life of Brahma is 313 trillion earthly years. It may sound very fantastic, like a large number, but that's how it is. And then we go through this chain, and then we come to number 22, Lord Chaitanya, who gave us the Hare Krishna mantra 500 years ago. And then since then, this Hare Krishna mantra has been chanted in various parts of India, and now due to Swami Prabhupada in various parts of the world. And then this knowledge comes down, down, down. So this is Swami Prabhupada in 32. And he himself has over 3,000 disciples. 80 of them are initiating gurus. And then from each of the gurus, again, this parampara continues to expand. So we come from one of the 4 Vaishnava paramparas. This is called Brahma Madhava Gaudiya parampara. Then there is Sri parampara, Sri Sampradaya. Then there is Rudra Sampradaya coming from Lord Shiva. And then there is Kumara Sampradaya coming from the 4 Kumaras, who are also sons of Brahma. So at this very early stage, like Lord Krishna gives this knowledge to Lakshmi Devi, that becomes Sri Sampradaya. He gives it to Brahma. From Brahma, it comes to Narada and Brahma's other sons, 4 Kumaras. So there are 2 Sampradayas coming from Brahma. And then Krishna gives this knowledge to Shiva. And then that's where the Rudra Sampradaya comes. So if somebody doesn't belong to these 4 Sampradayas, their knowledge may or may not be effective or complete. They may have some knowledge, but it may not be complete. So Krishna himself says we have to receive this knowledge through this disciplic succession. It means Guru teaches the disciples practice it, and then they themselves become gurus after some time. So this chain keeps continuing. So that is a little bit of introduction of the Sampradaya. And now, this is a very intense verse. We can spend an hour just going through this. So, what is Lord Krishna saying? Lot of things he's saying, right? If you go to the Sanskrit, he says, Vichalyate, means somebody who is not disturbed. Guna, like, somebody who has these certain qualities. Then Sama Sukha, Dukkha Sukha Swastaha, means we should be equal in dukkha and sukha. Right now we are going through a lot of dukkha, corona induced situations, but we should be neutral, whether it is very good life or whether it is not very good life. We should have sama dukkha sukha. Sama lotasma kanchanaha. Kanchan means gold, lotasma means stone. So we should be able to see gold and stone as similar. It means we should develop that kind of neutrality. Tulya priya apriyo. So whether we are praised or whether we are criticized, whether we like something or whether we dislike something, we still should be neutral, right? Tulya nindatma. Ninda means somebody is criticizing you, right? And if somebody is not criticizing and praising you, you should have the same neutrality. Mana apamanayos. Mana means respect. Apamana means lack of respect. Tulyas. Tulya means measuring them, right? So like Sri Krishna Tulavaram, where one side there is gold put in to the weight of, I think it was Rukmini Devi, and then other side, as the gold was being put, it was very difficult to kind of meet that. But then I believe it's Rukmini who comes with a tulsi leaf and says, this tulsi is more powerful than anything. And then that kind of equates that. So whether we are praised or whether we are criticized, we should have the same attitude. So this is very tall order, right? Like if somebody praises us, we become very happy. If somebody criticizes, we become very upset. So, and if somebody sees a gold ring on the street, they'll pick it up. If somebody sees a stone, they'll just kick it and go forward. So we don't, have that level of neutrality. We have, we value certain things and we don't value certain things. But this is standard, Krishna's standard of how one can transcend the modes. Tulya mitrari pakshayo, friendship and enmity, one should have the same thing. Sarvaramba parityagi, giving up all kinds of aspirations for success or failure. Right? Guna atitaha sa uchyate. So this is guna atita. Atita means crossing over the gunas. So triguna atita means crossing over the three gunas, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Last time I showed a PowerPoint, and I might still show it this today as well. But essentially, we have to cross over these three modes. So, Sudhakar, if you are there, can you read the translation?
We should be driving, Prabhu.
Okay, so you read it, Swati.
Okay. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friends and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
So on this call, we have 8 people, or at least 8 families. So does any one of us qualify for this high standard that Lord Krishna is mentioning?
Not me, Prabhu.
I don't think even I qualify. Primarily because if somebody has renounced all material activities, right? I don't think we have done that. Are we able to treat alike both friend and enemy? I don't think so. Do we do equally well in praise and blame? Honor and dishonor? Are we equal, samadrishti, towards desirable and undesirable? No. Do we look at a lump of earth, a piece of gold with equal eye? No. But then what is our hope? What is our hope? So we have to gradually develop these qualities. So we still have time. It depends upon whether Corona will allow us to live or not. Because so many people already, what is the statistic right now? More than 52,000 people have died, right? So before death, we have to develop these qualities. Manapamanos tulyas, tulya mitrari pakshayo. Samalotasma kanchanaha. Piece of gold and a stone. Doesn't mean that you throw away the gold. You use the gold in service of Krishna. So Krishna gave the principles, and Rupa Goswami, the Acharya. Remember we talked about Rupa Goswami, who is the disciple of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya's disciples are Rupa and Sanatana. To be precise, Swarupa and Sanatana. Both names start with an S. So Rupa Goswami, he gave a little practical explanation of how to apply this, right? Otherwise, you'll say, oh my God, this is so difficult, I won't do it. But that's not the intention. Intention is not to make it so difficult that you cannot do it. So Rupa Goswami gives us more detailed information on this one in his book called Nectar of Instruction. So if you go to vedabase.io, I don't know if they put Nectar of Instruction there or not. And Nectar of Devotion, I mean. Nectar of Instruction is there. So in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami gives the characteristics, right? And then in Nectar of Instruction also, some of these characteristics are mentioned. So let me show you the Nectar of Instruction. Actually, during Prabhupada's days, if somebody said they are interested in Krishna consciousness, within the first month, they asked them to read the Nectar of Instruction. Right? So one of the instructions is this. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak. We all like to speak. Like frogs, we like to croak, croak, croak. So somebody who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, action of anger, and urges of tongue, belly, and genitals. So tongue, belly, and genitals are in a straight line. So if you control the tongue, belly and genitals are automatically controlled. If you control the tongue and belly, the genitals are automatically controlled. Such a person is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Right? And then one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, because then you'll get very attached. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, like for name, fame, honor, or position. Very difficult, right? I mean, if you have worked in corporations, how difficult is it to get a promotion in your company? It's not so easy. So over endeavoring is a waste of time for those kind of things. As long as you have roti kapda makan, decent living, that should be fine. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. Like, hey, in this cricket match, this happened. Oh, that sari company, Kanchi Pattu Chira, they are doing like this, like this. All those things are unnecessary. It's a waste of time, right? Associating with worldly minded persons. So our association will define how we will behave. Jaisa sang, vaisa rang, as they're saying in Hindi. Whoever we deal with, that's how we become. If you hang around with people who go to bars all the time, it's only a matter of time you'll start drinking. If you hang around with crazy people, it's only a matter of time you'll become crazy. But if you hang around with people who are interested in liberation, like this group or similar groups, then gradually you'll become interested in that one. So associating with worldly minded persons who think of worldly success as be all end all of everything. And this is what surprises me, right? Like, if you see so many people are dying, and yet the stock market, people are trading and they are making money. And the next day that broker himself may die, right? So this is exemplified by, if you see a snake eating a rat. The rat is trying to grab a small worm on the ground, and it continues to enjoy the worm in its mouth while the snake is eating the entire rat. I've seen this in National Geographic pictures. I don't want to bring that up right now because it is kind of a gruesome sight. So people are dying, but they're thinking that it is still important to make a lot of money, right? Especially in the Wall Street. And then being greedy for mundane achievements. Mundane achievement means, oh, I want to get into this degree in MIT or in this in Harvard, or I want to buy my second 4-bedroom home or the third 4-bedroom home or my fourth car. These are mundane achievements. If they come naturally, take it. Nobody's saying no. But if you worry too much for that, then it will take away your devotional life and it will make you a big mess. And I've seen that happen actually. A number of people who tried to do beyond their capacity have got so entangled that they became crazy. Right? Like there was this story in Atlanta. There was a day trader who was trading. One day he lost 100,000 in day trading, $100,000. So he took out a gun. He shot all his fellow traders, and then he started to get away. And then entire Atlanta police was chasing him from helicopter and cars and trucks. Everybody chased him. Finally, they just shot him dead. That's it. Not even a trial, because he became so crazy for mundane achievement like that. So that is nectar of instruction. And then there is actually, sometimes it's better to search online. So I was trying to tell you specifically around how to use wealth, right? It's not like if you see a gold ring, you'll just throw it away. No. So that is given by Rupa Goswami. I'm trying to think, so that's why I'm pausing. Anukulyena. Krishnanu. So there's so many sites, ISKCON sites and non-ISKCON sites that follow this particular verse, right?
So is that the one Prabhu like Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjana?
Yeah, that's also there. That's a good thing. Let me do that. Anukulyasya. Yeah. So basically, do you throw away wealth? No, you don't throw away the wealth. You'll use it for Krishna's service. Krishna has given you wealth for a particular reason. I mean, we are all born in good bodies without deformities. We have good intelligence. That's why we are able to come into IT. We make good money in local corporations. We are probably in the top 10% of American, American society. So what do you do with all that facility? You have to use it in Krishna service. Like when we were trying to construct the new temple, so some of the people who were soliciting donations, they went to one person's home, very big home. And they told him, see, you got a very big home. Don't you think Lord Krishna also needs such a big home? It's not like you live in a palace and he should live in a hut. No. So that was the concept that was important. Okay, so the verse says, Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshasi isti vishvaso goptritve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanya sadvida sharanagati. Accepting things favorable to devotional service, rejecting unfavorable things, conviction that Krishna will give protection, accepting the Lord as one's guardian or master, and full self-surrender and humility. Okay, so this is good, Swati Mataji, but there is an even better verse which talks about how you can use everything in service of Krishna. Can you think of that verse?
So is that by Rupa Goswami? Prabhu, you're telling?
That's also by Rupa Goswami. I mean, it's dancing in my mind, but I'm unable to put it into words. Anyway, we'll come to that.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have to see how to develop these qualities. Seeing the lump of earth, stone, and peace with equal eye.
Is that Yad Yad Vibhuti Matsattvam, Prabhu?
No. That is different. That is vibhutis. Qualities that somebody is acquiring, they come from Krishna himself. Oh, I got it now. It's Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagyam. Yeah. This is the one I was looking for. Although the other one is also good, other two ones that we talked about briefly. Everything is spiritual if you are Krishna consciousness. So here that particular verse is quoted. But this is more of a conversation. It is there up here. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Anasaktasya Vishaya Yatartam Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Yukta means engage. So if you're very rich, you engage your money in teaching people about God, teaching people about how they can get liberated. And Yukta Vairagyam. So we need to have Vairagyam, but not just like throw everything in a trash can and then wear saffron cloth and wander around. No. Vairagyam means using everything in the service of Krishna. So using everything in the service of Krishna is called Yukta Vairagyam. So one who does not know how to utilize this material energy for Krishna, for them it is inferior. So you should know how to use everything in the service of Krishna. That's what I was looking at. So if you have money, use it in service of Krishna. And obviously Krishna should live in greater opulence than you are. It's not like Krishna needs your money. Whatever you have is also given by him. But how we use it to please the Lord is more important. Okay. Okay, so who was reading? Continue reading.
Arjuna, can I read?
Okay. Go ahead.
Arjuna submitted 3 different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendently situated has no envy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the 3 modes of material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of the material modes of nature. But as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will automatically be forgotten. When one is conscious of the material body, he acts only for sense gratification. But when one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, sense gratification automatically stops. One does not need this material body, and he does not need to accept the directions of the material body. The qualities of the material modes in this body will act, but as spirit soul, the self is aloof from such activities. How does he become aloof? He does not decide to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. Thus, transcendently situated, the devotee becomes automatically free. He need not try to become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. The next question concerns the dealings of a transcendently situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so-called honor and dishonor offered to the body, but the transcendently situated person is not affected by such false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness, otherwise he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness, and he does not hate his so-called enemy. He is equally disposed and sees everything on an equal level because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with material existence. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendently situated.
So for our personal benefit, we should not attempt for anything. But if it is benefiting Krishna's mission of propagating this knowledge to a lot of other people, then we should definitely work for it. So nothing for Krishna, nothing for me, everything for Krishna. That should be our attitude. For nothing for me, but everything for Krishna. So I may not do certain things for me because of loss of reputation or gain of reputation. But for Krishna, even if it is loss of reputation, I should do it. Right? Like, for example, when you distribute a book on the street, the fellow may insult you, the fellow may walk away, the fellow may fight with you, but you still say, my dear soul, this is good for you. You have to take this book and learn something from this. And if you are able to, give us a donation so that we will again offer it to Krishna in the temple hundi, like that. So by doing that, you are helping a soul connect with the Supreme Lord, right? It's not a selfishness, right? It's not like, oh, only I will learn and I will not teach anybody. No. Once you receive a diamond, you have to give the diamond to others too, the diamond of knowledge. Otherwise, that diamond will actually not work for you even. So we should learn and we should teach it to other people. So there's a lot of neutrality, right? How to, there is so-called enemy. So actually nobody's an enemy. Everybody is a soul struggling in this material world. So we have to help everybody. So that's why I'm doing this class, so that whatever I've learned, I'm teaching other people. If you take it up, it's good. If you don't take it up, somebody else will come and take it up. So just like Nataraj joined today, Jai Shri joined a couple of months ago. But there are people on this class who have been learning this for 4 years now. So, and there are people in this class who have dropped out because they could not handle the truth. Because sometimes what happens is people want to be praised. But here Krishna says exactly opposite. Whether you are getting praised or you are being insulted, you should be neutral. And some people don't like that. Some people may want to, go the easy route. And also there are different kinds of, people in this planet. Like Jayalakshmi would tell you, like we discussed this yesterday. So there are 3 aspects of God that we need to understand. So yesterday in the class, I actually typed this up with the students' help. They were providing me with various pieces. So Brahman is everywhere. And characteristic is all pervading in every atom. Various religions like Islam, Buddhism, Mayavadam, Brahmavadam. Paramatma is in your heart, localized. And we have to come to the Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness, above these 3 modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness. Some sannyasis do this, yogis do this. And then the 3rd level is Bhagwan, going to the spiritual world. And there are some characteristics here: blissful, cognizant, cause of all causes, source of everything. Can anybody think of anything to add to this list for Bhagwan?
Not to Bhagwan Prabhu, but I think Christianity comes in between Brahman and Paramatma, because they do something called a Holy Father, and then I even get confused, and then they say there is no form as well.
Yeah, so Christianity, you're right. It's in both categories. Some Christians say that God is somebody who lives in the spiritual world and we need to go to him. And some Christians have converted Jesus himself to God. And some Christians started thinking they themselves are God. So yeah, somewhere in between these two, right? But like if you really look at the good Christians, they accept that there is a Father who is omnipotent, omniscient, and all loving, right? So I did a paper on this one. When Archbishop of Canterbury said that God is not gender neutral, because they're trying to appease to all these, people who are neither men nor women, and they're trying to appease to women. So they say God doesn't have a gender. So Archbishop of Canterbury was saying that, and I wrote a rebuttal to that one. So if you are not on my LinkedIn, join Radhika Gopinath Das. Here is a post where Tulsi Gabbard took oath not on Bible but on Bhagavad Gita when she became a congresswoman. So there is one post that I did around Archbishop. So that's our free vegetarian food truck. Many of you may know here, where we are serving free food to whoever needs it. And so what happened to the Archbishop of Canterbury? It's somewhere here. I'm trying to find where it is. It's in one of my recent posts. I post at least 2 or 3 times a day, so it gets added up rather quickly. Is there a search functionality in LinkedIn that I can search on my own posts? Yeah, this is the one. You see, this is the classic picture. If you go to Vatican City, which is a separate country next to Rome, Italy, so they don't think of themselves as being part of Italy. because they think they are part of the heavenly planets. So this is, on the left side is us, the soul, and then on the right side is God. So God is shown as a male in all of the artists until now. And suddenly this Archbishop of Canterbury is saying God is gender neutral. How can God be gender neutral? So that's me, Radhika Gopinath Das, Professor of Vedic Theology at Samamish Institute of Technology. So Vaishnava Saint Bhaktivinoda Thakur evaluates the conception of God. So God is a person, right? And then if I page down, here is Archbishop of Canterbury. His head is cut off when the image was taken. Archbishop of Canterbury says God is not male nor female. After female bishops demanded that the church stop referring to God as he. So they want to now think of God as she or it, or maybe like a eunuch, neither male nor female. So this is what the world has come down to. So now you know how challenging it is. When you try to go and teach this knowledge to other people, people will think you are crazy. They are smart. Actually, they are crazy because they don't have the background. So they are going against their own scriptures. So we have a lot of work to do. Okay, any questions on this one? There's a lot that was said, honor and dishonor. And then let me continue with this one. So then comes the Bhagavan Vadis, who are Vaishnavas who worship Govinda, Krishna, Vishnu, and various Vishnu avatars like, Kurma, Varaha, Matsya. So the Lord comes at various times in various forms to do a specific purpose. Like Varaha avatar comes to lift Mother Earth from the Garbhodaka ocean when she is thrown out of the orbit by the demon Hiranyaksha. Matsya, he comes to protect all the pious people and protect all the Vedas so that they can be carried over to the next Yuga. So some are uni-purpose avatars, like they have only one purpose, and they are multi-purpose avatars, like Lord Ram or Krishna himself when he descends. So Ram had many purposes, right? To please his parents, right? Because when they didn't have kids, they did this yajna to have those 4 kids. To kill the demons like Tataka, Maricha. To show to the world how an ideal person should live. So there are different reasons, right? So they are multi-dimensional avatars, like Lord Ram when he comes. And then you have Shaivas who worship Shiva. Some people also worship Bhuta, Preta, Ganas. While Shiva himself worships Vishnu according to 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you don't understand everything right away, don't worry, because it took me 16, 17 years to understand this stuff. But give it a patient hearing, because something will go into the head. So there is this spectrum. Atheism means no God. Then you have nature worshippers, like American Indians who worship nature. They put a fox or an eagle on a totem pole and they'll worship that. Then there is Aham Grahopasana, means I am God. Then there is Mayavadam, everybody is God. Then there is Brahmavadam, which is Brahman is everything, but Brahman is not me. So therefore, from here, everything in green is, they are theists, and everything in red shaded is atheists, means they don't follow God as a person. They rather want to fight with God. Then Paramatmavadis are God is in me, in the heart, right? And then finally Bhagavan Vadis, where we have to serve God. So one of the characteristics here is Paramatmavadis, Upadrishta Anumantacha. Overseeing is Upadrishta in Sanskrit. Upadrishta. And I'm not making this up. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Upadrishta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaram. Paramatmeti Chapyukto Deharshi Bharatarshabha. Paratmatmet Chapyukto. So Paramatma is sitting in your heart and he is doing Upadrishta, overseeing, and Anumanta permitting. Even if you want to slap somebody, Krishna has to permit you as Paramatma in the heart. You cannot just slap somebody just like that. If you are in the office, you want to lay somebody off, then Krishna in the heart has to allow you as a manager to lay that person off. And if that person's karma is stronger than you, something will happen, and then the boss will come and say, no, don't lay this fellow off, lay that fellow off. It has happened to me actually. One time, my manager came and said, this fellow is not performing, you have to fire him. Then I was like, should I fire him? He said, if you don't do it, I'll do it, which means I have to do it. So I went ahead and fired him. Because that person's karma was not strong enough, he was the victim of that. But if the person's karma is very strong, no matter what you try, that fellow cannot be touched. Right? So that's how you should understand these things. And then yesterday, Raji Lakshmi asked me this question around, can we worship animals also? Yeah, you worship cows because they're in mode of goodness, but not as a cow, right? As Paramatma in the heart of a cow. And then there are other animals that you don't worship. You should run away from them, like mode of passion, ferocious animals like lion, mode of ignorance, scorpion, snakes. And then yesterday, Disha Mataji asked one question. So who do you surrender to? Should we surrender to family members? Or somebody asked the question, I don't remember exactly. So here's the result. If you surrender to your family members, you'll take rebirth. Sometimes in the same family. Like there is a Telugu movie, Manam. They show this concept very clearly there. So somebody dies and then they are born in the same family again. Then Bhutas and Pretas. If you pray to Bhutas and Pretas, then you go to Bhuvarloka because Bhutas are there so that you can go and have a party there. And if you pray to demigods or devatas, then you go to Devaloka or Swargaloka. And there are different devatas have their different sections in Swargaloka. There is a Ganesha section, Durga section, Indra section, Vayu section, Varuna section. Just like, in Chandigarh, it's a planned city. So you have different sections for different types of buildings. So same thing in Swargaloka, you have different sections. And if you worship forefathers, then you go to Pitraloka. As I mentioned earlier, maybe a few months ago, first my father-in-law passed away. Within 11 days, father-in-law's younger sister passed away. Within another 11 days, younger brother passed away. All three people, they could not bear separation of each other. They passed away one after the other. So chances are they are having a party in Pitraloka together. So, but if you are attached to that, that's a danger. I mean, you'll not go back to spiritual world. But if you are attached to Supreme Lord Krishna or any of his Narayana forms or Vishnu forms or avatars, then you go to Vaikuntha. Of course, there are 3 Kalki avatars in India right now. And one fellow is saying that the other 2 are bogus. So all 3 are bogus because their name is not mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you worship those, you won't go anywhere. You'll come back. Yeah.
Prabhu, this is in Bhagavad Gita also, right? So Yanti Deva Vrata Devan.
Excellent. Can you tell me the verse again? Yanti Deva Vrata Devan.
Pitran Yanti Pitra.
Yanti Deva Vrita Devan Pitran Yanti Pitravritaha Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja. I don't remember the last line.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Everybody should be like Vijay Mataji. You should learn these verses. And when the connection has to be made, you should bring the verse forward. Right? So that we know that it is not, I am making up stuff. Right? So even as students, you should cross-check with the Bhagavad Gita and quote the appropriate verse. So that way it makes for an intelligent discussion. If only I am talking, then it becomes pretty boring. And then somebody asked me yesterday, like, what is devotion like? Devotion is like swimming uphill. When you swim uphill, what happens? The water is doing what to you? You get pushed down. So then what do? Try harder. So don't think this is an easy process. And then you do it again and again. till the point of death. And then somebody asked me a question yesterday. So then why do people not follow this? If Krishna is saying, that's because yatamat tatapat. Means whatever, different people have different philosophies and they choose their different paths. That's why you have so many paths. Atheism on the extreme left and Bhagavanvadis who want to serve Krishna on the extreme right.
So Prabhu, you can also add a polytheism and pantheism as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So we can add pantheism here.
So polytheism, it's the mainstream Hinduism, right? So they
Yeah,
worship demigods.
Various devatas are worshipped and Krishna ignored. Or think that Krishna is also a devata.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens.
Yeah. So they'll get some benefit, but not the right benefit.
So pantheism is more like material nature worship, wherein more like universal form worship, but they don't know that is universal form, but they worship material nature as the cause of everything.
Yeah. But pantheism also comes here, right? That's also a part of...
Yeah, that's true. Yep, that's true. Yeah,
true.
pantheism is nature worship.
So nature worshipper and pantheism. And then what we can do is we can take pantheism from here. That way we don't have the same thing in two categories. There is no polymorphism here. That is only in C++ and Java. Okay, so Nataraj, do you have any questions? We are going very fast because most of my students are accustomed to all this terminology.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I was able to get like, very little bit of it. Still, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, so ask a question. Ask a question.
No.
Students
You guys are already in a very advanced stage, So probably if I ask any questions, it may not make sense. I myself am really confused.
No.
Just
ask a question. My students will answer those questions. Don't worry. So your class. Yeah, tell me what question.
I mean, I see that like in the last half an hour, like you guys have been using the word Krishna consciousness extensively. Yeah. So I know that I'm not in that world, but still confused. So like I also seen that you're using the word dummy or something, demigods or something. I really don't know what you meant by it. But anyhow, like
it's not dummy, it is demigods. Demi means half. They are not full gods, they are halfway through, devatas. Okay, now I will answer your first question. Material consciousness means you love matter, right? Like an iPad, a car, a house. Krishna consciousness means you love Krishna as a loving personality and serve him. That's right. It. So we are all material conscious right now because we love our material things, but we are trying to become God conscious or Krishna consciousness. So if you want to generalize it, you can say God and put Krishna in parentheses. So God has many names. So you can say Allah or Yehovah or Buddha.
1 second. Is as in polytheism? Polytheism, is Krishna also a devata? Or
no, Krishna is not a devata. So I will prove it to you in a moment. Let me finish this. Yahweh is from the Jewish tradition. So God has different names according to geography, right? But Krishna is the original name, because if you look at all these other religions, they are only 6,000 years old. So if you see Yahweh is mentioned in Torah about 6,000 years ago, right? And then Buddha has been mentioned in various scriptures. When? 2,500 years ago, right? Allah has been mentioned in scriptures 1,300 years ago. And Allah means what? All merciful. That is also a name of Krishna. Krishna is also all merciful. But then the people, they say, if you are not a Muslim, we'll cut your head off. That is foolishness. They'll say, what is that called? There is a specific term to that. Kafir. So if you don't follow Allah, you're a kafir. But anybody who follows Krishna is not a kafir, because Allah means it's a characteristic of God. It's not name of God. Buddha means it's not name of God. It's characteristic. Somebody who has attained enlightenment, bodhisattva, like that. And similarly, Jesus referred to God as Elohim. He says Elohim, right? That's in scriptures. That's in 2,000 years ago. But when is Krishna referred to? 120 million years ago, according to Parampara. And that Krishna descends as Devaki Krishna 5,000 years ago. Right? So some of this knowledge is recent modification of that knowledge, right? So that answers your first question. Material consciousness, you love matter, we love matter, and we love Krishna. That's the difference. At least you were courageous enough to ask a question. Yesterday I had a lady, she joined, she got confused, and she did, without announcing, she dropped also. So she basically lost, right? It's always good to ask a question, better than saying that I don't understand this stuff, so I'll just give up. No.
Prabhu, for Krishna, it is not 120 million years, right? So because when Brahma was born, so he has said this Brahma Samhita.
No, I understand. But in the most recent time, he gives this knowledge to Surya Deva. Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I don't want to go till Brahma starting. Then we'll go to 333 trillion years, and people will have difficulty kind of relating to that. That's like a very long time. Yeah.
Sure.
And what was your second question, Nagraj?
Natraj.
Natraj, sorry.
I don't have any questions as such. As I told you, I'm just kind of trying to understand. I have many questions, of course. Like I have 100 questions, like in the last half of what you lectured. But still, I may not have understood it very well, to ask any questions at this point of time.
Yeah. So your questions are natural because you are coming halfway into this, and that's totally okay. But in general, let me try to simplify things for you. There are 4 things common for human beings and animals. Can you tell me what they are? Can you think about what they are?
Sleep.
Animals and humans, okay.
Sleep.
Food.
Mating.
Yeah, good. Natraj. What else?
Defending.
Yeah.
Emotions as well, right?
Huh?
Emotions
are common, but we are talking about the higher things, like the Uber buckets. So eating, sleeping, mating, and depending. So scriptures say, ahara nidra bhaya maitunamcha samanya etat pashubir naranam. Dharmo hi eko adhika vishesho dharmahina pashubir samanam. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending are common. But what is special about us? Only for humans, we have
Knowledge.
dharma. Dharma has 33 meanings. So one of them could be knowledge. One of them is religion. One of them is intrinsic nature. One of them is service, like intrinsic nature of service. So there is knowledge, there is intrinsic nature, there is duty, dharma is also duty. Then there is
Service.
religion, service. So yeah, 33 meanings in Amarkosha dictionary. So yeah, we only focus on this one, intrinsic nature, because each one of us has a specific nature. And then that nature is to serve. Nature is to serve. Like a nurse will serve the patients. Even if they have coronavirus, she'll still continue to serve because her nature is to serve. She'll not say, oh, you have corona, get out. I will only serve people without viruses, something like that. No. And then so many nurses died in New York City. They were serving patients. They themselves caught the disease. They died while they are doing service. And because they died while doing service, they will have a better life next time and they'll continue their journey. But liberation is a totally different category. Liberation is serving Krishna. So what we need to do is change from serving Krishna to, change from serving matter to serving Krishna. That's what we did. We changed from serving Krishna to matter, and that's how we came down to this material world, right? So we just have to do the opposite, and then we'll go back. So what is your next question, Nataraj?
I think someone was asking about demigods and Krishna.
Yeah, so demigods are authorized representatives of Krishna in executing material world, affairs in material world. So you cannot do everything on your own, even if you wanted to. So you appoint some jivas. Of course, Krishna can technically do it, but he won't do it. So you appoint some jivas who are very purified. Okay, you are in departmental heads. You are for this department head. In responsible for like oxygen, right? So that is called Vayu. Water. So that is called Varuna. In this way, there are various departmental heads for the execution of universal business. Yeah. What is the next question? Anybody?
Prabhuji, this is
Yes.
Prakash.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who are those guards, like the village guard? Do you understand what I'm asking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the
There are 330 million devatas. So they are also there. Actually, there is a devata for your right nostril who will allow you to breathe. So village gods are also devatas. We only know about a few, right? Like how many devatas can you name? Like if I go to Bing and look for puja room, right? Like if I look at an image, how many do you have in your puja room? 4, 5, 10, 15. That's about it, right? Photos. Yeah, let's look at this one. You won't have 330 million because we don't even know who their names are. By the way, Om means Krishna. Shri means Lakshmi. So they already have Krishna here without knowing. So who do they have here? Lakshmi Devi, Ayyappa, Krishna. They have Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord. But then they put Ayyappa next to Krishna, which is like breaking the hierarchy. It's foolishness to put a Devata next to the Supreme Lord. They don't know it. That's, so somebody's got to teach them. And who is on the left-hand side here? Anybody know?
I think it's Narayana Prabhu.
It's Narayana. Okay, so they basically have a preponderance of Vaishnava culture, but Ayyappa is a Devata. You don't put Devata on the same level as the Supreme Lord, like that. So out of ignorance, people will put different kind of puja rooms. But for example, here they put Lord Narayana or Balaji on the top and they put everybody at the bottom, which is the right way to do it. Ultimately, there is a hierarchy, right? You cannot say, you put Bill Gates and the janitor at the same level. No. Bill Gates is the CEO or now chairman or maybe retired chairman, and the janitor is the janitor. So how can you equate both of them and one level? That is incorrect.
But who defined that hierarchy?
The hierarchy, I just talked about this parampara. In the parampara, who is the first person? Is Krishna himself. Krishna is, like, even if you do Bharatanatyam dance, at the beginning they say, Krishnam Vande Adi Gurum. So is the Adi. Adi means starting point. And the Brahma Samhita also discusses who Krishna is. Right?
So like recently, like I went to this one of Sadhguru's class. And he says Adi Guru as that Adi Yogi as Shiva or something. Really confused.
Yeah, it is confusing because Sadhguru himself doesn't present full information. I have to say this, unfortunately, he doesn't belong to a bona fide sampradaya. Because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, let me do a Google search or a Bing search, that is faster. So that is why there is some amount of misleading going on in the world right now. Because people are not at the very high level, right? So you have to start them somewhere. So they give some tidbits of information here and there. So Shiva tells Parvati about Vishnu. So let's see what we get.
So, see on the same lines, right from my childhood days, we have been worshipping Shiva. My parents,
my parents have also been worshipping Shiva, but then when I came in contact with the Srimad Bhagavatam, I learned this subtle information.
But excuse me, in Vishnu Sahasranama, it says Bhagavan Vacha and she says Rama Rama Ramedi. So if you say the three, so it covers the whole Vishnu Sahasranam. So it's
that is one way to explain it, but I would like to explain it from the parampara perspective, right? So who came first? So we had this Goloka chart. Remember, chart of spiritual and material worlds. It's gone. Let me see what comes up in the search. Sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. So let me copy into a PowerPoint so that we can zoom into it. By the way, haves and have-nots. In America, we consume a lot of water. We consume 215 gallons, cubic meters per year, whereas in India, they consume 52. And in countries like Mali, they only have 4. So we are actually the criminals. We suck away all the water. or we are fortunate. You could characterize in one of the two ways, because we have way too much resources, natural resources, which other countries don't have. Okay. So let me see if I can put into full. This is the material world. It's called Brahma Anda. Anda means egg. So this is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who is lying down in the Ksirasagara, or Garbhodakvaksha, not Kshirosagar actually. And from his nabi, there is this thread going on up. So if you go to Varadaraja Perumal's temple anywhere in Tamil Nadu, you will see that. Varadaraja will be lying down, and from his nabi, this stalk, the lotus stalk is going, and on the lotus, Brahma is born. First comes Brahma, and Brahma's son is Shiva. So if you look at the cosmic hierarchy, the sequence is, actually Krishna is not even here in the picture. This is Vishnu. Where is Krishna? Krishna is coming from the lotus-like worlds in the Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka namni nijadamni talecha tasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu. So this is called Devi Dham. Our world is called Devi Dham because Mother Durga is controlling it. Then comes Mahesh Dham. Mahesh, where is Mahesha? Mahesha is here, Kailasha, between the boundary of material world and the spiritual world. So there is a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy. So who came first? Krishna came first. And then he expanded into Vishnus, Garbhodakshai, Kshirodakshai, and Karnodakshai. And then from the Garbhodakshai Vishnu comes Brahma, and Brahma's sons, the Rudras, run the show when annihilating or finishing off the material universe. So the hierarchy is very important. So as I said, I was also a worshipper of Shiva, and we still continue to worship once a year on Kedareswari Day, Kedareswari Vratam, after 15 days of Kartika Purnima. 15 days after Deepavali, on Kartika Purnima, we do that. As a what? We worship him as a devotee or bhakta of the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Narayana or Vishnu. So Narayana is not in the material world. It's only Vishnu who is in the material world. Where is Narayana? In the Vaikuntha Lokas. You see the text is a little fuzzy, but all Narayana expansions are there in the Vaikuntha Loka. Expansion means what? There should be a source. The source is Krishna himself. So there is a hierarchy. We have to respect the hierarchy. We cannot make up our own hierarchy. We cannot say Mr. Doug Jones, who is a janitor in Building 33 in Microsoft, is equal to Bill Gates. No, Bill Gates is the chairman. Or at least he was the chairman emeritus. Until recently, he was the chairman. You cannot equate an employee with the boss. Similarly, we cannot equate any human being here with God. So Sadhguru gives all these strange notions. In one of the statements, he said, you don't need to read Bhagavad Gita. In the other statement, he said, Krishna attained enlightenment. Arey, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. What do you mean he attained enlightenment? You and I should attain enlightenment, not Krishna, who is already the Supreme Lord. It is like saying, oh, Bill Gates got a job in Microsoft. People will laugh at us. Bill Gates is running Microsoft. He's until recently the largest shareholder, maybe still the largest shareholder of Microsoft, right? So it will be an insult to call him an employee of Microsoft.
No, but Krishna has a guru called Shantipani, right? And then through him and he got enlightened. Might be he's saying like. Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's an excellent point actually. Krishna here is the Adi Guru, okay? But this is Goloka Krishna. When he comes as Gokula Krishna near modern day Delhi, he takes an Adi Guru. Why? Can anybody tell me? So he takes a material Guru. Why? Can anybody tell me?
It doesn't.
Because he himself has told, right, Prabhuji, like, the pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya vadekshanti jnani tattva darshanaha. So everybody has to go to jnanis to get that enlightenment.
Excellent. Excellent point. Excellent.
Bhagavan himself.
Yeah, he himself said you have to go to a guru. What is the other reason why he took a shelter of a guru?
To teach us, Prabhu.
To teach us.
However, the great people do, the common people will follow. So.
That's the answer I was looking for. Yad acharasi shreshtas tattad evataro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Sayat pramanam. Pramanam means by example. Lokastat anuvartate. Loka will anuvarta. Anuvarta means they'll follow. Right? So why does Krishna have a guru? To teach others. Others will follow him. Whether he teaches or not, others will say, oh, Krishna didn't have a guru, so why do I need a guru? Right? That is one reason. And Swati Mataji, you had a point. What was that?
So like to teach us, like we need to like serve the guru. Like.
Yeah, no, Vraksh said that. Pariprashnena sevaya.
Yeah, but Krishna need not be liberated, but he himself is the supreme Lord. So, which means liberation is different from enlightenment.
Correct. There are a lot of these terms which are used interchangeably without much knowledge. So we have to think about, Krishna doesn't need to be liberated. He is already coming from there to teach us on how to get liberated. So there is a big difference. Okay, these are all excellent points. I'm glad to have you as students because you're all bringing very good points out.
So again, just to add, because Krishna is a supreme, so he says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. So he's the source of everything.
Right. That's a good point too. So he is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. So means everything comes from him. So even Lord Shiva comes from him. Shiva doesn't come directly. How does he come? From Nabi of Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes Brahma, and from forehead of Brahma comes Shiva. If you know the history of how Shiva comes about. I am source of everything. So, yeah, every question that you have can be answered by Bhagavad Gita, not only by me, but by all of you, right? If you understand the hierarchy, if you understand the structure, it's not very difficult actually. So to answer Nataraj's question, yeah, Shiva is very important. Where is Shiva? He's in the boundary of, Sadashiva is in the boundary of spiritual world and material world. We are stuck somewhere here in state of Washington or Alabama in case of Vraksh. And we are struggling here with Corona. These gentlemen are not struggling with anything. They are superior to us, much superior. But there is a hierarchy. You have to respect the hierarchy. And the Brahma Samhita was found in the Adikeshwar temple between border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. I went there and I'm very fortunate to have visited that place where you can act. That's where this knowledge of hierarchy, it is like the index. Brahma Samhita is like an index. Just like, for a textbook, you have an index to show who is who, what the key glossary of terms are. Similarly, the Brahma Samhita is an index. I'll show you the Brahma Samhita. Hold on just a minute. So you have to memorize one URL. It's called vedabase.io. Everything is there. And you'll be amazed at what you can do with this information. Shri Brahma Samhita. By the way, there used to be 100 chapters. 99 chapters are lost. Only, I believe, the 5th chapter is available for us. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and is the prime cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. So he is the Sarva Karana Karanam. So that's why if somebody says, who is your original root of your family? You should say, my family's root is Krishna, because we all come from him. Even Shiva and Brahma come from him. Even Allah, Yehovah, Yahweh, everybody comes from him. People don't know that. Because all these are different forms. There are avatarena asankhena. From the beginning of creation, there have been many avatars. So I wanted to show you the index, how we will see mention of Durga. We see mention of Ganesha. Ganesha is right here. Everybody is mentioned in this book. The hierarchy is given very clearly. So there are many verses. It's a very deep topic. I don't want to get into that.
And
And
Shiva,
then-
is,
Huh?
Shiva is also mentioned here.
Yeah, Shiva should be mentioned, right? Obviously.
Shiram.
Yeah, Kshiram. Okay. Kshiram. Is it with an H?
Yes. Prabhu. Shiram yata dadi vikara vishesha yoga.
Sanjayate nahi tata pritagasti heto. Shambhu. Shambhu is mentioned. Is not as Shiva. Shiva. That's why you didn't find it. Shambhu. Is it SH? Shambhu. Or is it SAMBU?
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, here it is. Shambhu is mentioned. And who is Shambhu? Very important information here. This halo is the divine Shambhu, the masculine symbol or manifested emblem of the Supreme Lord. So to display masculinity, the Lord's energy comes as Shambhu. So it's very important to understand the hierarchy. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll get lost. Actually, during the Chola dynasty, the Vaishnavas and Shaivas fought in the modern state of Tamil Nadu, saying that Shiva is supreme, Vishnu is supreme. They fought and they killed each other. Foolishness. Because ultimately, why? Because Krishna or Vishnu's energy is coming as Shambhu, right? See, the person embodying the material causal principle, the great lord of this mundane world, Maheshwara, Shambhu, in the form of male generating organ, is joined to his female consort, the limited energy Maya. Maya means Durga Devi. So Durga is wife of Shambhu. As the efficient causal principle. You know what a causal principle is? If you're a computer scientist, you will know this. Of course, we are all IT people. We are not computer scientists. Causal principle. Causality in physics, a general principle establishing the permissible limits of the influence of physical events on each other. So who is that each other here? Krishna is one source, Vishnu, and Shambhu is one result, but he's also a source of so many other things for efficient causal principle. The Lord of the world, Mahavishnu, is manifest in him by his subjective portion in form of his glands. So previous verse we talked about his masculinity. Here we are talking about the glands of Mahavishnu forms the causal principle as Shambhu. So yeah, I mean, if you go deep enough, then you will see that Shiva is the energy of Vishnu. The function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that his universe enshrining the mundane egotistic principle has originated from Shambhu. So do you know where our ego comes from? Right here. Here's the secret answer. But ego is good because without ego, you'll not even be alive. False ego is bad. That is the difference we have to understand. So yeah, I mean, every question has an answer from the scriptures. It's just that we have to be patient, tolerant, and honest to find those answers. Most people will not tell you about these advanced texts. They will only tell, listen to me. Then you should ask the question, why should I listen to you? What so? Like this gentleman, what is he called? Who says you don't have to read Bhagavad Gita? Sadhguru. Sadhguru, why should we listen to you? Then the next question should come. If you say don't listen to Bhagavad Gita, then the question is, why should I listen to you, sir? What is so special about you? But a lot of times people don't have time, right? They will just listen to whatever the most convenient guy walking down the street tells them. That's unfortunate. But if you want a diamond, then you have to go to South Africa, get the diamond from the mine, you have to chisel it, polish it, then you'll have good quality diamond. If you want a cheap diamond, $10 diamond, then you can go to Macy's, pick up some of those fake diamonds. Yeah, that's how it is. Okay, let's chant now. Is that, I'm sorry, is that okay, Nataraj? Do you agree with my line of reasoning?
I mean, that's fine. As I told you, right? I just, I'm very novice on this one. I mean, like, I have many questions, as I told you. Still, many are not answered. I know that, like, in this.
Can you write down your set of questions and send me an email? I will put the email address in the chat.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, no. I mean, like, I'm not expecting, what to say, like, you to answer all the questions, right? Because as I told you, like, I just started. It'll take some time, So
yeah.
No worries. You just carry on with, with your lecture.
Okay. Yeah. So that is the end of the formal lecture. Now we will do the chanting. So chanting, I have a mantra in one of my PPTs. Let me pull that up. Especially for the new people, the pronunciation matters. By the way, I don't teach just spiritual topics. I do courses on financial management for devotees, spiritual principles at workplace, how to solve homeless problem. You see, I have so many presentations here. Then I also do research on water. By the way, water is the next big battle in the world, because water is coming to an end. We are sucking away water. And again, I'll tell you how fortunate we are here in America. In New York, if you pay 25 cents, you are paying 5 times 25. $1.25 in Colombia. That's how expensive water is in other countries. We are very fortunate to live in America. Very, very fortunate.
See, like on those lines, I was listening to one of Sadhguru's, Sadhguru's lecture on the Kaveri basin, right now, wherever the Kaveri flows, right from Talakaveri all the way up to, I mean, somewhere in Trichy it ends, it goes to the ocean, right?
Correct.
He has done a good job of, planting some millions of trees. I mean, that is something, that's what we need, for, for our current generation, right?
Yeah. No, so your statement is very valid, but then we have to evaluate your statement on this continuum, right? So if you think Brahman is everything, like, God can be seen through every atom of this universe, then we can plant trees. But I am presenting
somebody
here.
Has to do it, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has to physically go and take that effort, take that initiative,
I agree.
and gather people and do it, right? So that's what matters, right? At this point of time.
Yeah. So I'm not denying what you are saying, but this continuum here is we are taking to liberation. Not all of us are in the same platform right now here, right? Like when I started my journey, I was somewhere here, nature worshipper, pantheism. And then for some time I thought I am myself God. Then sometime I thought everyone is God. So this is my evolution. So each one of us has to go through this evolution to come to the point of getting to liberation, right? And ultimately everybody has to be liberated. Even Sadhguru has to be liberated, right? So there are different...
For me, see, my problem is I'm really confused. I mean, probably you can educate me. I'm still trying to, find an answer. See, I am not, I'm not there yet. As I told you, I'm just the very, very lowest level, when compared to all the other Prabhujis and Matajis. But my concern is, my biggest concern is, at this point of time, I'm not thinking like, what's going to happen, like, after I die or liberation, all those things. I'm not there. But at this point of time, what small things I can do, like, like small things like planting trees, like, which, whoever it is, let it be Sadhguru or anybody, that's what we need. And how we can, reduce the usage of plastics because it is damaging our Mother Earth.
Yeah.
These are the few things, I need an answer. And on the same times, coming back to other small thing I would like to share here. One of my colleague at my office, he's a Christian, and his wife, she's a Christian also, but like every day, she goes to the restaurants, like, Panira Bread and in a few other restaurants. At the end of the day, like whatever is left out, she gathers all those left out sandwiches, bread, and all those things, and then she next day she takes it to the orphanage homes, to some, what is that, work release centers, where the prisoners are about to be released. Now she goes there, she distributes the bread and the food, and sometimes for all those adolescent girls and all those things, she gives them, whatever their basic needs, whatever is needed. I mean,
Then
so like,
I understand where you're going.
she's
So I want you to see this video where we are also doing something similar. Just
no,
see.
I'm not trying to compare. I mean, not comparison is not
nonprofit
needed.
organization serves meals out of this food truck. It's a vegetarian food truck, and it was parked at the University Heights Community Center in the U District today. Before the pandemic, the food truck served about 230 plates a week. It is now serving more than twice that amount. Manoj Rahaja is a volunteer.
So it's been working out, we feel very satisfied and, we're very happy to serve the community.
We're told Northwest Share has been serving free meals from its truck for the last 2 years. All right, Chris Egan is coming up next in sport program to provide.
So, yeah, so we have to do all those things, and we do all those things, but our goal is something higher, right? Our goal is ultimately not only me, but everybody around me should be liberated. That is our goal, broader goal, like that. Anyway, you keep coming, and then you will learn a little bit more.
See, as I told you, right, like I myself am confused, but like, wherever I can, like I try to pitch in, like, I mean, like there was a recent, small event, like where I had to cook like 500 puris. I did it, like in my house itself, I made all those 500 puris and I took it, like I've been to like 1 or 2, ISKCON classes also.
Oh, okay.
I've been to like other events also. I went to this McMinnville, this Tennessee center where Sadhguru, he has this huge ashram there. I went there also. But still, my heart, it says like, at this point of time, there's so many needy people on this earth. Let it be here or to the place where I was born in India. Like I would like to, do something to them. Like with little things, like periodically, I just keep on, donating or like, do wherever I